sportspass.com. I appreciate you right now for rocking with the best, man. It's your boy Big Sauce. Thank you for taking the time to rock with me, man. We here. We ain't going nowhere. We watching this Michael Jackson joint, man. We trying to take advantage of it, see what's happening. Tap in with me, man. It's a beautiful Sunday. I'm getting ready to watch these game sevens, man. Who y'all like? Was it Cleveland? Toronto? I like Cleveland at the crib. I don't think Cleveland gonna trick it off at the crib. You know what I'm saying? Like, not game seven, not James Harden, not at the crib, not James. Not at the crib, man. We can't do it today, big dog. Like straight up. We can't do it today. Maybe another day we can't do it. I was surprised by that Boston Philly, but when I saw Jason Tatum one playing, I'm like, oh, it might be a wrap. And then I'm like, Boston Celtics, y'all started some niggas I ain't never heard of, bro. I ain't never heard of none of them niggas y'all had out there last night. And no disrespect to them niggas because they in the league, but I ain't never heard of none of them cats y'all had. Y'all started a dude I ain't seen since Iowa, Luke Garza. What happened to Jordan Walsh? He was getting some burn. They brought the African dude in too late. I feel like Philly got that punch, and once you get that punch in that game seven, it's hard to buck back. Once you get that feeling on the road, like, yeah, we finna beat these cats. Tyrese Maxey was phenomenal. I'm extremely impressed with the rookie VJ. He's phenomenal. It was just a good team effort, and it allows guys like Kelly Oubre to not really have to worry about scoring. When a guy like Kelly Oubre can do all the extra stuff, you're in trouble. And Philly, New York is going to be a little more dangerous than people want to give it credit for. The key is going to be the health of Embiid, right? I think Philadelphia, pound for pound, Philadelphia got the best guards left in the Eastern Conference and still in the playoffs, right? Detroit and Orlando, outside of Cade Cunningham, neither one of those teams have any guards, right? That's why the series have been so ugly. That's why Orlando can't score. And then if you look at Toronto, you look at New York, you got Brunson. But Brunson by itself, that speed, Maxey, Edgecombe, then you got the veteran PG. It's gonna be tough to beat, man. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a healthy Embiid if Philly can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, easily. They make him. If Embiid was fully healthy, I would tell you right now, Philly would go to the East Conference Finals. Concrete Genius Pie, man. Get a copy of my book, The Game Changer, 8 Tips for Men to Find Peace. Available on all socials near you, man. Hit me up anywhere, anytime, man. I'm personable. I'm real, man. I allow myself to be reached by the community, so I'm here for you if you need the game. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to turn this into a sports pod, but yeah, Philly did their thing today. I like Cleveland. I think Harden, Donovan Mitchell gonna come through. They gotta come through, right? You can't be James Harden and Donovan Mitchell and not close this game, right? It's not feasibly possible. You cannot have Toronto come in your house and win this game seven. It just can't happen. And then with Detroit, the early game, Detroit, Orlando, I'm going with Detroit, man. I don't trust Orlando. I don't trust teams who don't have people that can get them easy buckets, right? Like everything Orlando does is hard. It's like open gym with a bunch of big skilled 6'8", 6'9" dudes. Yeah, y'all big and y'all skilled, but if you don't have a guard that can get you the ball, you ain't gonna be able to work on that turnaround jumper. You're not gonna hit that enough to score. You gotta have somebody that can get in the lane and suck the defense in, right? Defenders get tired, fatigued from turning their head, having to think and move. If I just got a boom, I know he driving, he ain't gonna score. It's pass. They got a Frankenstein offense because they don't have a point guard. You know what I'm saying? I think Cade Cunningham is the best player in the series that can handle the ball. I think Orlando may have the next 3 or 4 best players after Cade, but when you the best player and you big and you can handle the ball, you can win the game. And I like Detroit today. We'll get more into Bron tomorrow. We talking more basketball tomorrow. But the purpose of this pod never fails. It never fails. The purpose today was I saw the Michael Jackson movie. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. I saw the Michael Jackson movie, right? I got some thoughts on the Michael Jackson movie, right? I really do. I got some great thoughts on the Michael Jackson movie. I got some things I want to say about the Michael Jackson movie. Did I think I'm pretty a fair review? I think I'm pretty fair in my review of the Michael Jackson movie, right? It's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good movie, but we're gonna give y'all the official Michael Jackson review. Follow me on all socials. Get a copy of my book, The Game Changer. We live. Anybody want to jump into the pod, want to talk, we here. You want to comment? You want to tell me why you watch the pod? You want to tell me what you agree with, what you don't agree with? I don't care. As long as you don't talk to me like you ain't got no sense, I'm cool. When you start talking to me like you ain't got no damn sense, that's when we got a problem, right? I'm cool with you talking to me however you want to get some shit off your chest. I'm cool with that, right? But like, just don't come on here talking to me like you ain't got no sense, bro, because I'm going to cuss you out, right? So, all right, so let's go to Michael Jackson full review, ConcreteGeniusMedia.com. Everybody's reviewing this movie like fans, right? But I want to give you the perspective of somebody that was born in the 70s, that's originally from Gary, Indiana. Not only that, my auntie, my Aunt Josephine, rest in peace. They owned a home on 26 in Jackson, right? So growing up, all my older aunts, cousins, sisters, siblings, they literally grew up on the same street, same block as the Jackson family had the interactions, right? So this story means a lot to me, right? I remember a kid seeing the Michael Jackson covers, all the covers in with the guitar, the teenage Michael Jackson. I remember all the albums, right? I remember the Jackson 5. I remember the story. I remember 2300 Jackson before it was a tourist attraction, right? When people was just renting it out to live in it. So my perspective, I feel like it's different, but it's open to the world since I got the platform. I want to share it to the world, right? I went to see the movie. I was with my family. It was a great vibe, great energy, beautiful sunny day, a little chilly, but just perfect. A perfect day to get out the house and to go to the movies. Not get out the house and be outside because it's a little windy, but to go in the movies. Popcorn was smelling good. Movie was packed. It was a good vibe. Went in there, got our 4 tickets, had a nice little off to the left side. You get the little 4-seater where it's just us. So that was perfect, right? And when I first got to the movie, it was kind of cool. Got the popcorn, got my butter, got everybody situated. And it wasn't that packed. I always get there. I'm early preview guy. So I got there a little early and it wasn't that packed, but I went. And then I always do a little pre-movie, restroom break. And when I came back in, it was slapping. I mean, it wasn't a seat left in the house. And I'm like, the movie's been out probably a week already because I saw reviews. And it was not, trust me, when I say it was not a seat in the house left at the Michael Jackson movie. So I was like, okay, it's good energy in here. People excited to see the movie. You seeing people in Thriller jackets and Beat It jackets. I mean, it's just a great atmosphere. People excited, children. It's a great family atmosphere already. So if you any type of person that appreciates energy, you're going to already be in a good mood when you walk in the Michael Jackson movie. And that's one thing I can say about this movie. And that's one thing I can say about the power of Michael Jackson, the power of his fans, the power of his music, is that it touched so many people. You could literally feel the spirit of energy and wanting to have a good time in the theater, right? So the movie starts. I'm ready to get rolling, right? They do the, standard cutaway. I guess Mike 80 something with his back to you. Then they flash the gears like Gary Indiana 1960 something, 3 something, right? So the very first thing I noticed that pissed me off is that they had 2300 Jackson Street on the corner. It's not on the corner. I'm sorry. I don't want to be that guy, but being from Gary, I know ain't no 23rd Avenue right there. So 2300 is just in the middle of the block between 25th and whatever. Right? I don't think it's the first house on the corner. Now, if I'm wrong, I ain't been in Gary. I ain't lived in Gary in a long time. But I ain't finna Google search either because I trust my Gary knowledge, and I'm pretty sure that house ain't on the corner. I've never visited as a tourist. It's hard to treat my city like a tourist, right? But just the way it's made, I know it ain't made like that street sign corner, right? So that kind of threw me off, but it's cool. They walk in. I see the movie. I feel it. Gary, cool. First thing I'm going to review on the Michael Jackson movie is the casting, right? We'll go Katherine Jackson. Nia Long played Katherine Jackson. Nia Long is a phenomenal actress. She's Black royalty. She is regalness and class personified. But I did not like her in the role of Katherine Jackson, right? I felt like it could have been casted a little differently. I felt like they tried to work too hard on the makeup to force a look on her that's not a Nia Long look. And again, Nia Long is a phenomenal actress, one of my favorite actresses. We basically same age. When she was in Boys in the Hood, I was a boy in the hood. So, excuse me, I have tremendous amount of respect for my generation. But her acting chops kind of made me stop complaining towards the middle of the movie. Joe Jackson, what's his name? Coleman Domingo, something like that. Great actor, wrong execution. I hated his accent. The way he said Gary, and Michael, he was trying too hard. He sounded like a Spanish dude trying to say Gary. This was very important to me. I can't speak for nobody else watching the movie because maybe those details don't mean nothing to you, and I respect that. But for somebody that was born and raised from Gary, Indiana, somebody whose mom graduated from Roosevelt High School in Gary, Indiana, 1954, the same high school that the Jacksons started their talent show in, same person that went to Westside High School that you saw the font in the screen that they were performing at. It means a lot to me. That accent was just unbearable. Like, he was trying too hard to be like a 60s Southern nigga. The flow didn't come out naturally with him to me, right? Again, phenomenal actor, right? I think his chops, the way he moved, were phenomenal, right? The way he tried to bring you into the role was phenomenal. I just didn't like him as Joe Jackson. Young Michael Jackson was a phenomenal actor. The little light-skinned kid, he was a phenomenal actor. Emotionally elite. The tears, the sadness, the energy he displayed on the screen, I thought was phenomenal. But visually, this does not look like a young black kid from Gary, Indiana in the 1960s, right? He had like a little, you know, black people that had like the little bitty white people nose, a little chipmunk nose that kind of come up in the air. He had no nose like that. Listen, you can't call a person big nose and say his nose is the source of his pain and he don't have a nose when he's 7. That's just a gripe, a detail from somebody who's not just a Michael Jackson fan, but lived the history in the place where he originated. Again. But when it came to acting, man, that little boy was bad. I ain't gonna lie, he was something special. When he was in that booth trying to sing for Berry Gordy, he couldn't stop dancing and moving like he had to pee. And I was like, yeah, he's special. He's gonna be a phenomenal actor. Maybe he might have wowed him so bad, right? He might have wowed him so bad in the auditions that they said, you know what, fuck it, man. This nigga might look like a cross between Diddy. This nigga might look like a cross between Al B. Sure And motherfucking I was just trying to think what that nigga looked like. It's gonna come to me. But yeah, he just don't he didn't look none like Mike, but he acted like Mike, right? But I'm nitpicking, but I can't watch the movie without being honest with my people. The brothers, right? I ain't gonna go into each individual brother because too many of them niggas, but I feel like the brothers low key carried the early parts of the movie with the subtle interactions, like when Mike was finna get his ass whooped, like, "Hey, Michael, just do it, Michael." Like, "Oh, Michael, come on." Like, I think the brothers, they ad libs and they little shots, they relationships, I think was pretty good. I was good with that. Now, let's get to the good part. The positivity, right? What they nailed, in my opinion, in the Michael Jackson movie. The studio and the dancing scenes. I think the dancing scenes were phenomenal. Nephew, Jafar, A++ job, right? Just phenomenal with the emotion, the smile, the energy. And what made this movie great is he had the Jackson eyes. That's why you couldn't get a Michael Jackson imposter to play this. You had to get a nephew or a cousin. And with him, with that being his uncle, not his great uncle, not his uncle by marriage, but his blood uncle, you saw Michael from here to here. You saw it. You saw it in the cheek, in the expressions, in the smile. You saw it in the eyes. So if you grow up, if I was a kid, I was a kid when I was really young when Thriller came out, and then I was young when Bad came out. But if you see Michael Jackson come up, but I watched all the film, I studied the Jackson 5. I watched all the films of Mike. And even as he got older, just the nephew had so many other attributes of being a Jackson. I felt like that was just perfect casting. The nephew being Michael Jackson made up for everything else that was wrong with this movie. If anything was wrong. That was such a home run cast. I'm so glad they didn't hire no weirdo Michael Jackson impersonator who would have tried to be too much of who he think Michael Jackson is and get somebody with the family to play that role. I mean, the nephew killed it, right? The dancing, the young Mike, the teenage Mike, the want to be starting something. And let's not forget about his acting chops. When he acted so nervous, his interactions with the animals. Can you tell my father I want to record a solo album? Like he was just so, you felt like you were watching Michael Jackson because you were watching a Jackson. That's what made the movie great. If anybody else besides Jafar Jackson played this movie, I might have hated it, right? That's how great he swung it from I love it to I hate it, right? The early performances were authentic. Another thing I loved about the movie was some of the tension between Mike and Joe, really throughout the whole movie. Like from the art, from the time when he first whooped him, he made him perform when they came back from a show, to the time Michael said, "Fuck off, this is the last tour, it's over, nigga." Like, I thought that was, I thought every time those two got on screen, it was like that energy in you that make you excited to be at the movies, right? When I'm at the movie and I don't care how long the movie lasts, that's when I know I'm watching one of the movies. And that's what I felt when those two got on screen and interacted with each other. The dynamic of power, Michael slowly wrestling away power from his father. That was such an interesting dynamic to watch as a black man, as a black father, right? I just feel like the nephew was phenomenal. I give the nephew 10 stars out of 10. Exceptional. If he don't play nothing else, right? This is gonna be a movie. This is this is gonna be like, black people gonna get this. This is gonna be like how, this is gonna be the amped up version of Belly, right? Like when Belly came out, mother was like, "Oh man, this is wrong with it, this wrong with it, this wrong with it." But within a year, everybody had a copy of Belly, and niggas was watching Belly religiously like a cult. And I see this movie becoming a cult phenom. And they got the ability to make a part two, but I'm gonna get more to that. Now, here's my points. What they skipped. Here's some things I wanted them to get more in depth on. I want them to get more in depth on Gladys Knight, right? Gladys Knight, for those that don't know, Gladys Knight literally discovered the Jackson Five and brought on the Berry Gordy. Now they did mention her singing, and then I don't know how she go from singing and introducing them to the Susan DePaz, the way she met. It was cool, little kind of. They tried to put some spice on it, you know what I'm saying? But I wish they would have got more in depth with Gladys Knight, her relationship with the family, how it happened, how that conversation went. I know it's only, you got so much time, but I love the visuals. I just wish they would have gave the older Jackson fans a few more details to nail the story home. So yeah, I wanted to see more Gladys Knight, more into the Gladys Knight story, more interaction about the character that played Gladys Knight. I like to see the origin, the first interactions of things. So if Gladys Knight discovered them, show us how the interaction with. Hey, you son your butt off. Hey, I'm Michael. Hey, I'm. To me, those are parts of the movies that make biopics, like a biopic like Ray, Malcolm. You get those parts. Hey, Malcolm, this is, Red Fox. This is, what I'm saying? You get those times that tie Black history together for Black history buffs, right? Cool. What else I feel like they could have went more in depth on? More Berry Gordy development, right? Lawrence Tate is Lawrence Tate. You gonna get 38 and 8, right? That's what he does. In the beginning, I thought he was gonna trick the roll off because he seemed like he was trying to go extra little, almost like he was going Cuddy from Dead Presidents, but he kind of chilled out as the movie went on. And he found his bag, and he that's what he does. He's Lawrence Tate. He's been doing it for years. He was phenomenal. But again, it wasn't, I don't know if because of the powerful arc of Michael Jackson or the ability of all the artistic development that went into the movie and the fact that maybe they wanted to be the music to be the bridge that sustains the movie, we didn't get a lot of character development into Berry Gordy, into his relationship, into how that went. I didn't like the scene of him telling Joe, we got this. It's more into that scene, you know what I mean? And I'm going to get to that Joe Jackson point in a second. I didn't like that either. No presence of Diana Ross. I don't know if that's something, but that was by her choice. Probably some maybe her choice because she wasn't in the movie at all. She wasn't mentioned in the movie. I don't think Janet, of course, Janet wasn't mentioned in the movie. Janet didn't agree with the movie, so I can understand her being out. I don't know if that's the case with Diana Ross. I will do my research after this pod, and maybe somebody could tell me in the comments if that's the case. But I didn't see no Diana Ross in the movie, and that bothered me. Now, exclude that comment if Diana Ross withdrew her presence from the movie, as did Janet Jackson, right? Too much Latoya, not enough Reby. Side note. But anyway, what else did I miss? Missing transitions, moments. I would have loved to see more about the transition from leaving Gary to go to LA. Like, what was that moment like? What was that phone call like? What was that? What album sale, what moment spark say, okay, we got enough, we can pick up and leave and go do this, right? Even for somebody like me, what was that plane ride like? What was that bus ride like? What was it like packing up? I think parts of movies like that tie me into movies. And like I said, this is not for the people who never got A's on their test. This is for people who kind of think like, I wanted to see the transition leaving Gary to LA, right? I wanted to see the deals being signed, the Motown deal. I wanted to see how the frustrations of those, they left out a lot of albums, like the Forever Michael album, right? That's a great album, but it didn't get the critical acclaim. It didn't get the fame and the sales. His voice was changing. it's the album that kind of, I think it's the album that kind of forced them to get off Motown, go to Epic. Joe Jackson kind of forced Motown to kind of let them boys go. So they ended up on Epic, right? But they didn't show those interactions that transpired in Motown, Berry Gordy, Joe Jackson, Epic. I don't think they were authentic in their telling of the relationship between Joe Jackson and Berry Gordy. I think they could have got more in depth. I think you should have either got more in depth or you don't allow Berry Gordy to just disrespect and be like, all right, Joe, we got this here. And then Joe just sit there looking stupid. And like, it's got to be a B to an A. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense, right? I wanted to see more emotional reactions from the brothers. As Michael's career started to ascend, I wanted to hear more reactions, especially from Jermaine. Like, if Jermaine, you're gonna be a big part of this movie, if you were the villain in parts of the movie because you left the group, I wish they would have got more into that story. Why did Jermaine leave the group? What was the jealousy and the tension like between Michael and certain brothers? Who were allies, who were enemies? Like, let's tell the stories that the real fans know, especially from people from Gary, who got along and who didn't get along, right? So I just wish we could have got more of what happened. They showed what happened, but they didn't show you how it felt, right? And I'm big, when I watch movies, when I listen to music, it's not how it sounds, it's how it makes me feel, right? So I felt good listening to music. I felt good watching Michael. I felt great watching the nephew because it felt like the spirit of Michael Jackson was in him, which it was. I just wish they elaborated on the stories more so I could have felt the stories, right? My timeline issue. I felt like they kind of rushed through some things, especially around that teenage time. You know, Music and Me, Forever Michael, Got to Be There. It was just like, boom, Thriller. Or no, it was Off the Wall first, sorry, Off the Wall. It was boom, Off the Wall. And it was just like, I know you kind of had to speedball that, but again, these are tweaks, in my opinion, that's only making up a small percentage of why I didn't give the movie a perfect 10 out of 10, which we'll get to in a minute. But that jump felt real fast for me personally, right? Real MJ fans, like it just felt like it was parts of the movie where the timeline was accelerated and then it had to be sped up, which is understandable, but you need transitions as you get those breaks where the timeline is spread up, right? The character depth, right? And this is my biggest flaw. How in the world is Joe Jackson the only villain? Nobody from the industry exploited Michael Jackson. No outside presence, no other trauma, just this black father from Gary, Indiana that created this talented family of global superstars was the only villain in this movie. I can't jive with that, bro. I'm sorry, man, that bothered me. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a black father, that bothered me, man. Like, they shape the narrative, man. Everything gets put to us. We the only race of men that get told to be the bad guy, but then get blamed for being the bad guy, right? They tell you, black men, make sure your kids are better than you, right? Well, the only way to make sure your kids are better than you is to not go for the bullshit. So do you think men who grew up in the 1930s and 20s like Joe Jackson, who probably could barely read, had to scratch to survive, couldn't even tell a white man to shut the fuck up half the time unless they was ready to die or kill, right? What is the one way he can feel like, I gotta make these niggas better than me? I gotta make them perfect, right? So was he authoritarian? Of course. Was he mean? Of course. But see, the problem with society, and see, at first it used to just be non-blacks, but now they started getting to the blacks, and that's why we don't whoop our kids, and now our kids are out of control, and I'm not gonna get on that rant, I promise. But what I'm saying is when it comes to black fathers like a Joe Jackson, y'all want all the good. Y'all want Michael, Jermaine, Marlon, Jackie, Tito. Y'all want Randy. Y'all want Jackie. Y'all want Marlon. Y'all want everybody. Y'all want Latoya, Janet, Reby, and Michael. Y'all want to dancing. Well, how you think they got there? How you gonna villainize the person that laid the first brick to the global dynasty that became the Jackson family? How can you villainize this man with no other arc showing him, did Joe Jackson ever buy these niggas something for their birthday? You showed a couple of times, maybe you showed him laughing at dinner. Is that the only time he laughed? Did these niggas have a bike? How did this man provide and even buy the house on Jackson Street before you turn him out to be the villain? At least give us a landing spot before you make the only predominantly masculine black man in the movie, the father in the movie, make him the villain. I didn't like it. And I'm not saying Joe Jackson was some kind of great man. I'm not saying he was no villain. But you got to be a fucking genius to produce multiple global superstars. So you can't have Michael Jackson without Joe Jackson. I'm sorry to you feminists and you non-blacks and you whitewashed blacks and you people that hate the thought of black men being positive and creative and responsible for anything good. Along that process to create some superstars, some kids had to get their ass whooped. I'm sorry. And you cannot have Michael without Joseph. It's no Thriller. It's no Off the Wall. It's no World Tour without Joe Jackson. And I just didn't like the way he was only portrayed as the villain. And like I said, if that's him, show him by all means. But how does the white record exec that gets to make all the money, you're my guy, John Brinker, I just want to talk to him. He's showing up with teddy bears and Mickey Mouse. He get to be the hero. Fuck out of here. So this white guy is more the hero than Joe? I hate the way y'all did that shit, man. That's bad business. And everything, every time something comes out, man, y'all gotta find a way to make a black man either a villain, a boogeyman, or a homosexual, and I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of it. And I say this as a black man that's in the older generation, and I say this to younger black men. Stop fucking advocating in roles, stop acting like that shit is okay, and stop seeing it and knowing it's happening, being scared to say something, man. Because you got a father, you know what your father meant to you. You know what your grandfather meant to you. So stop letting them villainize the men that build the great black men we have in society now, man. I ain't saying Joe Jackson perfect, but y'all didn't have to do that man like that in that movie. I didn't like that, man. Greatness does not come without pressure. And I feel like y'all showed Joe's pressure without his method of greatness, and I feel like that was disrespectful. A few other misses I saw. The Quincy Jones, that didn't feel authentic enough. Quincy was a player, more of an eccentric fly guy with the white women, long cigarettes and shit. I want to see more of that. The CGI with the animals, the visuals, I wasn't really feeling it. The monkey on a twister, the giraffe just walking through the backyard, the llama, nigga walking the llama down the street, all right, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of that shit just could have been all right, man. Like, whoever was editing be like, we could have left the llama out this bitch. Like, it was ridiculous and it didn't add nothing. If you're going to do ridiculous, add some value, right? You could have put the nigga walking down the street with a live goat just standing on the block. You know what I mean? All this, like, some of it was just unnecessary. And for a Michael Jackson film, you think you're going to get, we need the highest level quality of everything, right? I don't care if you go over budget and make it higher quality because it's Michael Jackson is going to live forever attached to his name, and his name is forever. Timeline transitions were sloppy, I feel. I feel like they just jumped the scenes with no closure. I've already spoken on that. They moved around kind of a lot. So that's kind of my misses. So my final verdict, let me get a drum roll. Can I get a drum roll? Can I get drum roll? We ain't got no drum roll. I gotta fire some fucking body. This is disrespectful. Can we get drum roll? Can we get drum roll? Can we get? That's not a drum roll, B. Can I get drum roll? We might have deleted the drum roll. All right. Anyway, we got a 7.5 strong 8 out of 10 on the Michael Jackson movie. That's my verdict. Entertaining, great performances, not deep enough. The lack of depth and the lack of continuity between scenes and transitions and my distaste for some of the casting is the reason I don't give it a 9.5, 9, 10. But I give it a 7.5, strong 7.5, and a possible 8. You know how to play spades. In my opinion, I think it should have been a part 1. Gary, the whole Jackson 5 rise, maybe right up until Off the Wall. Then you come maybe Off the Wall, Thriller. You get into that, you go Bad. You know what I mean? You go 91. And then Dangerous or something, and then you go Fade Away. Then you come back with the history, and then you come back and you tell the in-depth parts about Michael Jackson when he was dealing with things away from the music and was not seen as much. See, I feel like that could have been a home run trilogy, and I still think it's going to be a part 2. And I'm going to be there to see it. ConcreteGeniusMedia.com, man. You've been rocking with the best, man. I thank you for your time and your patience and your effort. And watching somebody like me, I don't take that for granted, man. Thank you. Follow me on all socials at Concrete Genius Pod. Get a copy of my book, The Game Changer. Hold on one second. Copy of my book, The Game Changer. 8 tips for man to find peace, man. You can get it at my website, ConcreteGeniusMedia.com. Follow me on all socials, man. I appreciate you. We got some announcements coming this week, man. Thank you. Tap in. Stay tapped in forever.